Hi, my name is Rain, and this is my language arts outside reading project. For this project, we were tasked to find a book that changes our perspective on a certain topic. For my project, I've chosen the book Glimmer of Hope, which was written by the founders of March for Our Lives. For the majority of my life, nothing on the news seemed real to me. It was all a faraway nightmare that I didn't have to deal with. It didn't affect me. That was all about to change. When I was in 8th grade, my school went into lockdown because of a nearby shooter. It wasn't anything major. They were a couple of streets down rather than in the school, but I was still terrified. Why? Mostly because I kept my eye on the news. You probably aren't new to this. There have been school shootings all over the nation several times a month. At the time, it was old news, the norm, a regular thing. It shouldn't have been, and it still shouldn't be. Still, it just wasn't real to me. Only hours after the lockdown had ended, I had recovered. The nightmare was over. It was far away, another dream I didn't have to think about anymore. I was ashamed of myself for not caring. I found this book when I was in the library with the rest of my language arts class. We were all in there with the same goal, finding a book that would make the world seem a little more real. The story began with the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting, an event that traumatized the nation, but not the politicians in charge of it. I'd heard about it only a couple of times, but that's sort of an overstatement. I'd heard about every shooting thus far. They were just names to me. I didn't remember which one was which. The book took me into the world of Emma Gonzalez, and while I knew it was my world as well, it was sort of hard to believe. But then she told the story of how she prepared her speech, how she found out one of her friends was dead. Just reading it in class put my heart in my throat. I couldn't stop reading. I had to find out what happened next. How much I wished I could be a tree, Emma wrote, so I didn't have to know people who had been murdered in a mass shooting in a life I thought would be forever safe. I felt for her, wanting to escape whatever horrid nightmare she'd fallen into. I wished, for her mostly, that our world was more perfect, so that teenagers like me and her could be teenagers instead of glorified adults. She went on, "The environment is getting poisoned. Families are getting pulled apart and deported. Prisons are being pushed to incarcerate more people as they get privatized and monetized. Police brutality and institutionalized racism still pervade our society. Rape culture might not go unchecked, but it certainly goes unfixed. Real-life Nazis live happily among us in our everyday society. LGBTQ people are denied basic human rights and are often discriminated against to the point of suicide. Millions of people live in poverty all around this country, while billionaires can solve poverty for a price they would never even notice. Gerrymandering manipulates our voting districts to decide the outcome of the election before the ballots are cast. Native Americans face disenfranchisement on such a level that our country is basically still colonizing them. Puerto Rico has been abandoned to a point that everyday Americans have to supply the support that the president denies them. The American education system has been turned into a business where teachers and students are piggy banks waiting to be smashed, and every day 96 people get shot and killed. Flint still doesn't have clean water. It was like she was reading my thoughts. All of a sudden, Emma Gonzalez wasn't just a face behind a screen or a character in a book. Emma Gonzalez was another teen like me, a friend, another person struggling to find their way through life without losing it. Thinking back to when I first picked up this book, it isn't surprising to me that I picked it up. I had nearly experienced this whole ordeal firsthand, and now there was someone telling me on the other side of the country that I wasn't alone, that my fears were all real, but there were other people with me, facing them every day. Thank you guys for watching. If you're not my LA teacher, I want you to know that this really isn't one of my usual videos. This channel has been lacking content for some time. I'm really sorry about that. I need a better mic and maybe better recording software. I promise this channel isn't dead. I'm just sort of busy. If you are my LA teacher, this video is pretty much over. I hope you're as satisfied with it as I am. I worked really hard on it. For the rest of you, if you like this video, hit that like button as hard as you can. Share it with a friend. Subscribe even. I'll be back on my regular content as soon as I can. I will be posting most of my music work on the Legend of Zaminar channel, which will be in the description below. In other news, if you like crossovers, Gravity Falls, Undertale, Portal, Little Big Planet, why not read my fanfiction? I've been working on it for quite some time now, and I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a view. Thanks! This is Raining13, signing off.